want to talk to a very specific kind of person today. And if this isn't you, you'll know right away. But if it is you, this is probably going to feel uncomfortably familiar. This is for the people whose bookshelves are full of really well-intentioned self-help books, books you were genuinely excited about, books you knew were going to help you, books you bought during moments of hope. And yet, the spines aren't even cracked. Not because you don't care, but because every time you look at them, your system quietly thinks, I should really read that. And somehow that lands as pressure instead of support. Or maybe it's the master classes. You sign up because something about the topic hits. It feels like this one might finally explain what's been so hard. And then the day comes and you're already feeling overwhelmed with all you have to do that day. So you think, I'll just pay a little extra to watch the recording later. And later never quite comes. Or maybe it's the endless trying to regulate loop. You download the app, you try the breathing exercise, you promise yourself you'll start tomorrow when you have more capacity. And somehow, even self-care starts to feel like another thing you're failing at. If any of this feels familiar, I want to say something really important. This isn't a motivation problem. It's not a discipline problem. And it's definitely not because you don't want it badly enough. What's usually happening is that your nervous system is already overloaded. And even things meant to help start to feel like demands. When your system is dysregulated, taking in more information, even good information, can actually increase the sense that something is wrong and needs fixing. So you keep reaching for the next book and the next explanation and the next thing that's going to make it all better. Not because you're careless, because part of you is genuinely desperate to feel better. I lived this for a long time. I was always trying to understand, connecting dots, analyzing patterns, figuring out why I felt the way I did. Hell, I spent over a year getting two different clinical hypnosis certifications just to get to the bottom of this. And honestly, as wonderful as they are for subconscious reframing, I couldn't understand why, with all of my effort and determination, why was I just getting more and more frazzled and my life continued to unravel? What I didn't realize back then is that even the right information lands very differently depending on the state your nervous system is in. Here's a simple way to tell whether you're trying to understand something will help or hurt in the moment. If curiosity feels open, spacious, and unhurried, learning can be supportive. But if it feels urgent, pressured, like you need this to work so you can finally be okay, that's usually a sign your system needs a bit more safety before it needs more insight. This is why I teach felt safety first and deeper understanding second. Once the body settles, even a little, thinking changes on its own, perspective widens, meaning lands without force. And if you've ever quietly judged yourself for having all the resources and still feeling stuck, I want you to hear this. What rises when regulation returns is who you've always been, not who stress sculpted you into. So much of what you judged as who I am was actually who you had to become to survive. And once you understand how your nervous system actually works, you can stop carrying blame that never belonged to you. You don't need to stop thinking. You just don't have to lead with it quite yet. If this resonates, I've created a free three-part starter series that gently supports nervous system regulation with no fixing, no pressure, no do more hustle. You can explore it on my website, yourinnerpeace.ca, if and when it feels right. And if you've been hard on yourself for overthinking, over researching, or knowing better but still struggling, I hope this helped soften that story, that incomplete narrative. Usually, the nervous system shift doesn't start with trying harder. It starts with feeling safe enough to finally stop bracing. With compassion, Tammy.